and slowly, how we usually begin, not always, but usual, lie on your back and rest. And the first thing is what do you notice? It's your floor. It's you lying in this position. Are you comfortable? And I would ask you throughout any lesson, how do you take care of yourself? How do you make yourself comfortable? We know what uncomfortable feels like. We've all felt it. What does comfortable feel like? And this lesson can be done in many orientations. We'll play with some of it. Because we are starting on our back, we'll start there. There's been some confusion once we begin to learn something. We sometimes take it as absolute verbatim. That's the way it is always. And our relationship is a relationship we have with gravity. We live in a gravitational field, and gravity is a weight that weighs down on us. When we feel the weight of gravity, we feel pressure. We often collapse underneath it. We feel muscular work. When we have the absence of it, I suggest we're not in the anti-gravitational field. We are in a gravitational field, but we feel what our skeleton's job, one of its jobs is, to make us feel light, even when the weight of gravity is on us, because it is going cleanly through the skeleton, the bone structure. There are times things get confusing from one orientation to another. So don't hold on to anything and be surprised that when we sometimes change our orientation in space, the relationship of us changes. Now, very slowly, familiar movements, listening to how you make contact, your breathing. Listen also to how you allow movement to trail through you as you slowly bring one foot to stand and then the other. And just feel, did movement travel? Or did it feel at some point a block, a dam, and it got kicked back the way it came, or it got stuck into where it knocked into? Very familiar movement. So you have both feet standing comfortably, that you feel my feet are weight bearing. You don't have to constantly push into them, but they're not sliding away from you. You just feel there. And are your forelegs relatively vertical, which would enable that weight-bearing sensation? Now, very slowly, use your feet gently to just create a gentle little depression of your feet into the floor. There is an equal and opposite sensation that travels back up through you, and use that little pressure into your feet to help your pelvis tilt round so that you feel the movement trails up your spine, lengthening your lower back into the floor. And feel what it does. Is that a little push that travels up and then you let go? So I'm saying you initiate gently with the feet. Feel how it enables your pelvis to tilt. The tailbone curls up and forward. Your pelvis rolls a little bit higher up onto the top of the sacrum, into the lower back, which flattens all the way up the spine. Can you allow your head to rock up? Your eyes would rock up. And I'm going to call this the 12 o'clock movement, as if you were lying on a clock on your mat, and there's a 12 o'clock above your head, below your pelvis, below your feet is a 6 o'clock. Just get that image. Now you're going to do this movement again. Listen to the quality of the movement, how you breathe, and then you let go of it. And begin to turn your attention as you do this, make this movement familiar, to what actually happens to your shoulders. You do the movement, and then you let go. Do your shoulders, as you actually do this movement, the depression into the feet, tilting of the tailbone up, lengthening through the pelvis, through the lower back, all the way up, to enable, without doing anything, just let your head rock up, your eyes will go up, maybe your mouth opens. What happens to your shoulders? And then you let go of it. Now pay attention to what's happening to your gluteal muscles at the lowest aspect of our bum, our buttocks, and compare, are your buttocks, you're still lying, but are your buttocks, the bottom of them, rolling away from the floor so that you lengthen more towards your sacrum and your lower back flattens? Is that the same thing your shoulders are doing, that your shoulders are rolling a little forward, so that the shoulder blades flatten the lower portions of the shoulder blades, but the shoulders themselves roll a little forward? Does that encourage the neck to arch, the head to rock back? So you're just listening to what you do in a familiar movement. And if you listen and you notice, well, my shoulders are rolling a little forward just because of the movement. It's not like you have to take it over and do it. Feel what you notice in your collarbones, in your chest, and down your arms. And then you pause from that. And now, if you need to lengthen your legs to rest, you do what you need to do, but in a moment you'll return your feet to stand. But take the time to rest. You just notice whether you're resting with feet standing or legs long. Notice something different than a moment ago. And then return your feet to stand again, probably one at a time, so you can listen. What is the trajectory of this leg, this knee? What happens in my pelvis? What happens further up? And then this time, when you bring your pelvis back in that altered position, because with legs long, do you notice the pelvis tilts a little down? Your lower back has a little bit of an arch away from the floor. Now imagine that hour, 6 o'clock, that's below your pelvis, maybe between your legs, and begin slowly as you exhale to do something gently into your feet. Is it a little bit of a pulling sensation? But just feel your feet ground so that you can tilt your pelvis, the tailbone, down. And feel how that's a little pull through your spine. Let your belly get expansive. And feel that your lower back will arch a little bit. When it does that, can you allow, not doing anything else, can you allow your chin, your eyes to rock down? And feel what happened to your chest, your sternum. And then you let go of it. And you do the movement again. Maybe think that as I initiate the movement, I'm going to exhale. And feel, as I'm now thinking to tilt the tailbone downward in between my legs, does that enable your belly to be expansive and full? Do you rock a little bit more towards the buttocks, towards the sitting bones, that would enable the sacral bone to go more to the tip, the apex, closer to the tailbone? And did the lower back start to lift? Now, as you do this, pay attention. What just happened to my shoulders? Did your shoulders, as a response of the tailbone going down, of more weight transitioning to your sitting bones or the lower glutes, did the top of your shoulders roll forward, or did they lean and depress a little bit back into the floor? And you let go of it. You do it again. So that each time, first you become familiar with the movement, and then you start, because you're doing the same movement, so it's starting to get clearer in your brain, in the map of your brain, you start to take your attention to notice other things that are part of the movement. And then I'm going to say, begin to alternate between going up to 12 o'clock, that gentle push into your feet that helps curl your tailbone towards the ceiling and up, lengthening your lower back. Did your gluteals roll a little bit? Did your shoulders also roll? And did the center of you lean more into the floor? Get a little concave on the front and allow your neck to arch and the head and eyes to rock up. And then you reverse it. And you just tilt the pelvis as you come through neutral. Do something with your feet that enable your tailbone to want to curl down to the floor in between your legs, letting your belly get expansive. Feel the lift of the lower back. What happened in my shoulders and my head and my neck? If you don't impose another idea, notice, did both my sitting bones and my tips of my shoulders lay back into the floor so everything in between could arch except for my head? My face, my chin wanted to follow the tailbone. And then you reverse the movement. Listen to the relationship between your shoulders and your sitting bones or the lower glutes, everything in between. And just that natural sensation of a little bit of a push up through your spine and a little bit of a pull down through your spine. So it's familiar movements for most of you, but I'm asking you to direct your attention, your focus, to different areas that make up the foreground and the background. And then let all of that go and rest. Beautiful. Now, very slowly, resting your arms however they are, just notice. Are your elbows bent and your palms on your belly? Are your arms out to the side, palms face towards the ceiling, palms really inward so you're resting more on the pinky side of your hand, or palms face down? Just notice. Don't change it. Just notice. And what that has to do with your shoulders. Now, if I said very gently, you can have your legs long, you can have your feet standing. You do what feels most comfortable, but you'll go back and forth comparing what's the difference if my legs are long or my feet are standing. Slowly, begin to think of your right shoulder. And slowly, easy, gently, roll your right shoulder a little bit forward. We often call this protraction. And maybe think that if you had a little fishing line on your right shoulder, you would be casting it across like a rainbow to your left hip or your left knee or your left foot. Just roll that right shoulder a little forward, but on a diagonal, thinking of the left side. And then lay it back. Exhale as you roll that shoulder forward. Inhale as you place it back. Did your head move? Not because you were told to, but because there was a passive responsiveness. And just notice what your head did. And now pay attention. As you make this movement with your right shoulder, a trajectory across you to the left, what happened in your right arm? Did you feel it accompanied that movement of turning or rolling or rotating a little bit? Good. Now, let that rest and do it with your left shoulder. You're going to roll your left shoulder, the tip of the shoulder, a little forward, but forward, and think of the trajectory on the diagonal to your right hip, knee, or foot. Feel what happened in your chest. What happened in the left arm? What happened passively in your head? And one might be more familiar or easy or comfortable. Just keep it light and playful. You're not looking to do your best. You're looking to explore something naively. And then very slowly, but resting as you need, slowly begin to alternate. Once on an exhalation, I roll my right shoulder a little forward, thinking on a diagonal to the left leg, hip, foot. Inhale as I place it back, and then compare it with the left shoulder rolling a little forward and back. Listen to what's happening through your chest, your shoulder blades, and your arms. But anywhere else you notice, pay attention. Now if I said, pause for a moment, and then as you exhale, roll both shoulders forward at the same time, but thinking of those diagonals as if you were drawing an X across you. And let your head rock back. That's it, but easy. Allow it versus doing. Good. Feel what happened. Did your shoulders both roll forward? Now, if I said whether legs are long or feet are standing, what is your pelvis doing? Did your pelvis start to tilt up? Or did you tune out from your pelvis? So whether feet are standing or legs are long, encourage your pelvis wants to roll forward as you're rolling your shoulders down. And feel what's happening when you do both at the same time. That's it. Just make it easy. And when your head rocks up and your eyes go up, maybe open your mouth, not big and wide, but just soften your lower jaw, as if there was a little Ritz cracker or something between your teeth. That's it. And then if your feet are standing, just go back of thinking that initial movement. I exhale, I depress into my feet. It starts to tilt my tailbone, curling it up. The lower glutes start to lift, rolling away from the floor, but my sacrum is really leaning. Whole spine starts to lean. My belly starts to draw up into me, natural contraction. My shoulders rolling forward and my head rocking back. Good. And then pause and rest for a moment. And every time you rest, you get to notice, am I comfortable? Did I play in a nice, safe zone that was easy and pleasant? Is my contact changing? And now return your feet to stand again. And this time, just very gently, depress your right shoulder blade gently back into the floor. It's almost as if you wanted to lean or hug that shoulder back into the floor and then let go. And what happened to your head when you gently hugged, leaned the back of your right shoulder into the floor? And then you let go. What did you notice happen in your arm or your chest or any place else that would be the background? And then you pause a moment and you say, I'm going to do that now with my left shoulder. As I exhale, I'm going to gently roll my left shoulder back into the floor, hugging the floor, kissing the floor gently. And then I release. What happened in your collarbones, your clavicles? What's the relationship that your left shoulder leaning back is having in relationship to your right shoulder? Because you're not doing anything with your right, you're just listening. And then slowly begin to alternate. Once lean and hug the left shoulder back into the floor and release. And then as you exhale, lean your right shoulder blade back into the floor and feel what's happening. What do you notice in the shoulder that is actively, pleasantly leaning back? What is the other shoulder doing? If you can pay attention to the shoulders, can you pay attention to your collarbones in the front? Or your chest? Or your feet? Is there a subtle little sensation that goes, ooh? Or your pelvis? Or your head? And then slowly lean both of the shoulders gently back into the floor. You see the metaphors I use of a kiss, a hug. I want it to be gentle and easy, so it's pleasant. It doesn't startle you. What happened to your sternum, your collarbones, your chest? And maybe if you don't impose, your head could do a variety of things, but maybe your head just rocked down, your chin just rocked down. When both shoulders depress, back. And what happened in your feet or your tailbone or your pelvis? Was it understanding the gestalt, or was it like, no, I don't live there? Now very slowly begin to alternate. Slowly, as you roll both shoulders forward, press into your feet and help your tailbone curl up and let your head rock back. And then you come away from that on an inhalation. And when you're ready to exhale again, you're going to reverse it. You're going to depress, gently lean both shoulders back into the floor. Did something happen in your feet that your tailbone wanted to go down between your legs, creating that fullness in your belly and that arching of your back? And here, don't impose, let your chin rock down. Go back and forth in these two directions. Just feel your arms that are passive, but they're connected to the shoulders. What do you discern in your arms? There's something happening. And it might be so subtle, so you maybe just listen to the contact, whether it's your upper arms, your elbows, or if the hands are on the floor or if they're on your tummy, that's fine. Just, it's subtle, but there's information here. Just soften your intention. And then slowly rest. Let go of all of it and rest. Notice your contact. And you choose whether you're resting with legs long or feet standing. Both are fine. They're options. Now slowly, easy, soft. Please slide your arms, long arms, out to the side as if they would be 90 degrees with your torso. They would be perpendicular to the vertical line of your spine. So legs can be long or feet can stand. That's it. And now slowly, notice when you placed your arms like this, roll your head gently to look. Are my arms really at 90 degrees? And are my palms face up, or my palms on the side, or my palms face down? And when you roll your head to look, did you feel a movement in your shoulders, in your arms? Did one get longer and one get a little shorter? And then you reverse the rolling of your head. And then the other arm that got shorter got a little longer away from you. And then the other one got a little shorter into you. Good. And then pause and rest like this. Make sure you're comfortable. So not only did you use another sensory apparatus to assess, are my arms really at 90 degrees? But you also felt, I could see, why did I choose palms face up? Well, compare. Slowly turn your palms face down and feel the difference. It's not wrong. There are many people, this is exactly what they do. Now roll your head from one side to the other to look. And what's different? It's not wrong. But when the palms are face down, what do you discern in your shoulders, your chest, in your collarbones? When you roll your head, does your head feel as free? Now turn the palms face up, you're comparing. And what's different? So you rotated your arms. Did they affect your shoulders? Good. Now very slowly, turn your palms face up. And imagine, I have one person here on this floor who's going to go, well, I do it a different way, but just pretend that you're holding a key in your hand to open a door, to unlock or lock the door. Okay? And so you make a soft fist, but your thumb is resting along the side of your index finger, which is bent, correct? This is a soft fist. Any boxer would never, any wrestler would never put that thumb in being held by the fingers, ever, because they would break their thumb. Now very slowly, and you discern, do I want my legs long? Do I want my feet to stand? You get to choose. We'll do both ways. Right now everybody's got legs long, I can see. Slowly begin to take your right hand, that soft fist, and begin to roll your right shoulder a little forward, like you did in the beginning, like you're thinking of the right shoulder sending a thread or a fishing line arcing like a rainbow over to your left hip. When you do that with your right shoulder, what happened to your right fist, your right arm? Did the arm roll? And if you said, well, a little bit, yeah, it did, then encourage it. Every time you roll your right shoulder forward and think on the diagonal towards the left hip, actually allow your right arm to roll as if you wanted to take the palm with this soft fist more where the nails or the palm goes palm face down. That's it. And then you come back. And if your head rolled, bring your head back too with it. Every time you come back to neutral, you inhale, you're ready to do it again. Roll the fist down, allow that right shoulder blade to roll forward, and feel. Did your head roll to the right, stay in the middle, or roll to the left? That's it. And then you always return the right arm back to neutral, which means palm face up with the soft fist. And again, roll the right shoulder forward, which means thinking on the diagonal to the left hip. It will roll the right soft fist down. It will roll the arm. And listen to how the rest of you responded. And then you inhale and you roll the fist back to its neutral, the shoulder back. What happened to the left shoulder? So now keep doing the same thing as you exhale. Roll the right shoulder forward, allow the right soft fist to roll down. Gently hug, lean, depress your left shoulder into the floor. What happened to your left fist? And then let whatever you noticed happen come back to neutral. And you do it again. Now when you lean the left shoulder back into the floor, did the left fist start to roll up more to the thumb side? And your head was naturally rolling for most of you, to the left as you were protracting or rolling your right shoulder forward on the diagonal as the right soft fist was rolling down. Can you feel that's already what your left shoulder was doing? It was already, as a result, leaning back into the floor. That gave us a clearance for your head to roll to the left. Beautiful. Now just rest. Let it all go and rest. Bring your left arm out to the side as you did. Make the soft fist with your left hand. Think of holding a key between your thumb and the bent index finger, but the other fingers are also bent, making a soft fist. Now, elongate your right arm, still making that soft fist, towards the ceiling. That's it. And now slowly, gently protract or roll, keeping your right arm still towards the ceiling, a little forward. And which direction would your right fist rotate and roll? So the right fist is towards the ceiling now. The right arm, that's it. And now, the same way as if you were going to protract or roll your right shoulder forward on the diagonal to the left hip, did your left shoulder blade lean more into the floor? Did you rotate your fist, the right fist, towards the ceiling so that you would be turning the knuckles in which direction? What made it easier? If I don't tell you which way, that's it. If you feel that the right shoulder blade is rolling forward, which means it's starting to lift, and you're still keeping the right fist towards the ceiling, which way would you rotate that arm that helped this movement? That's it. Beautiful. But no. Ooh, I see some other things going on. Okay. The idea is that the arm stays towards the ceiling. You do not cast that right arm across you to the left. You're rotating the arms. Okay, I've got some confusion, but it's interesting what I'm watching. So good. Leave it all alone and rest. Very interesting. See, we have multiple patterns we can do. They're not wrong. Place your arms out to the side, 90 degrees, palms face up, then make your soft fists. And this time, bring your feet to stand. Now, once, roll your right fist downward. That would enable your right shoulder to roll forward in the direction of your left hip, and roll your left fist up, which would have your left shoulder lean more into the floor. That's it. And then come away from that. Every time you do this, add in, start with the fists. Right fist is rolling down, right shoulder is rolling forward, left shoulder is leaning back, left fist is rolling up. Did your head roll to the left? Maybe. And so now add into this, you've got this pattern, just add in that you gently encourage your knees to tilt a little to the left as you do this pattern. That's it. And then you come back. Now, every time you do this, is your left fist rotating up, left shoulder is leaning back, knees are tilting to the left a little, right fist is rolling down. Is your left arm getting longer to the left and your right drawing into you? That's it. There you go. There you go. Beautiful. Now reverse it. Just as you come back to neutral, roll your left fist down, rolling the left shoulder towards the right hip. Let your right fist roll up and begin to add tilting the knees to the right. And then you come back. That's it. And then you can alternate from one side to the other. Does this feel congruent? Does it feel like, oh, why am I doing this? Well, would you be reaching with your right arm and then reaching with your left arm? Where is your weight on your back transferring? That one side of you might be coming a little bit away from the floor, and the other side is really leaning into the floor. Now keep doing the same thing. Don't change anything except roll your head in the opposite direction. You're rolling your head in the direction that the fist is rolling down. That's it. What's different? Something is different. You took your eyes in the opposite direction, and it's towards the shoulder that's rolling forward. And I usually joke, this is a stereotypical Mae West, when she would say, if you saw any of her movies, why don't you come up and see me sometime? And now go back with your head, looking towards the shoulder that's leaning back, the fist that's rolling up. And feel the difference. So one creates more of a twist, the other one creates more of a rolling. There you go. Beautiful. And feel that you're rolling through your pelvis, the back of your pelvis. You're rolling through the back of your chest. You're rolling through the back of your head. And this is a rolling pattern. And then let that all go and rest. Notice your contact. Now, there's often confusion when we change our relationship in gravity. Something changes. Everything isn't the same. So in this next position, it is imperative you are comfortable. Which means if you are not comfortable sitting in a symmetrical fashion, whether legs are crossed or legs are V'd out or soles of feet together, please sit in a chair and come to sit. And that you need to be comfortable, because if you are straining to sit, yeah, I can do it, but you need your hands to balance you. Well, you're not as comfortable because I'm not going to give you your hands to lean on. So for anybody who says, well, I either want to elevate my pelvis or I want to sit in a chair, please do so. That's it. And just notice how you've chosen to sit. Now, you'll rest when you need to. Bring your arms out to the side, just like you did on the floor, and turn your head and look. What is the orientation of my hands now? And it might be different. Now, slowly, keep your arms out there, make the soft fists. And now, again, take your right shoulder forward, thinking of your left knee. That's it. And then come back. And when you do that, did your right arm rotate the right palm face down or back behind you? Make soft fists. Make soft fists. It's different. That's it. And then once, that's it. Roll the right arm down, the right fist, rolling it down, but it's still out in space. And what happened to the left one? There you go. And then come back. That's it. Now, as you roll the right one down, roll the left one up. And go look, make sure you're doing what you think you're doing. There you go. Where are you going in your pelvis? Some are going to the same side of buttocks, some are going to the opposite side buttocks. That's it. Begin to alternate. One fist rolls up, the other fist rolls down. And if you are old enough to know the dance, the Boogaloo, well, this is sort of what we did when we danced the Boogaloo, if you ever danced it. Are you shifting weight? Now, what are you reaching for with that fist? If it were a hand that you didn't have in a fist, but I want the fist now, what are you reaching? What's there? And you can shift your weight from side to side until you go, enough, I'm going to rest my arms and rest. You rest seated. That's it. Now, we're in a different orientation in space. And you rest your arms as often as you need. Arms are going to go back out to the side. You're going to make the soft fists. Now, roll both shoulders, both fists down. It doesn't mean take them to the floor. It means you're rotating them down. What happened to your head? Go with what you feel is happening. Don't impose. So all you're going to do is roll your fists, both of them, down at the same time, and then come to neutral. And feel, does your chest want to soften? Do your head and eyes want to look down? Or are you resisting it? And roll the fists down, rolling the shoulders forward as far as you can go comfortably, and allow you, your spine, your head, the rest of you to accommodate it so that you could, as if you were coming in front of a queen or the king, you would curtsy or you would bow. And feel how the back of your spine can get round and the front of your spine gets concaved. I like to think of rainbows. One side is the top of the rainbow. The other underside is the bottom of the rainbow. Now rest your arms. Just rest for a moment. That's it. Some of you start to rotate those arms so much the elbows go towards the ceiling. And then when that happens, you can soften the joints. You don't keep them stiff. Bring your arms back out to the side. Make soft fists. Now, roll both fists up and take the shoulders back. There you go. And then you exhale when you do it, and you inhale when you come back. That's it. And feel, where did your pelvis go? Where did your sternum, your chest, your collarbones, your mouth opens, the head rocks up as if it's such a beautiful starry night. Can I see Venus in the sky? Mars will be coming soon if we're not all cloudy. And now begin to alternate. Once roll both fists up, shoulder blades going back, come through the neutral, then roll both fists down, shoulders roll forward. You're bowing and folding, and then you're opening and extending. And you can, the more you're willing to go in either direction with ease, notice how far your arms rotate with no discomfort. Just keep the fists. Why the fists? That's a question I'll ask you to explore another time when you don't make fists. When does it feel more connected into you? Good. Leave that all alone. Roll back onto your back and rest. Now, you're on your back. So gravity is different than when you were sitting. And unless we impose another, and it doesn't have to be an imposition, but we add in another thing, just go where it's easy and just allow. the relationship between your pelvis, your rib basket, and your head through your spine to communicate. Let's go back to one of the first movements. Slowly bring your feet to stand, hip shoulder width. Feel your feet are part of your base of support. There's space between your knees. And now slowly do that movement of gently, something you do in your feet to bear weight that allows your tailbone to curl up, the pelvis to roll, the sacrum moves to the higher portion into the lower back, flattens, all the way up, shoulders roll forward, did the head rock up. And then reverse it through neutral, then tilts. You do something in your feet that enables the tailbone to tilt to the floor between your legs. There's a little pull. Your belly gets expansive. Your lower back will arch. Did your shoulders depress back and your chin rock down? Go back and forth between, I'm going to say, the 12 o'clock and the 6 o'clock. Very slowly. And feel, I'm not imposing something in this orientation. I'm just listening to that little push up through my spine that rocked my head up, and then that pull down through my spine that rocked my head down. Because this in gravity, if I'm not thinking of another pattern, this is congruent. You don't have to think, what else do I need to do? You don't have to work at it. And now put your arms out to the side. Make those soft fists. I like to think of holding the key. Then you very clearly don't try to put that thumb underneath the other fingers. Roll your head to look. Are my arms really at 90 degrees? What does that feel like? What does it look like? And if you look and you go, that's not 90 degrees, something is higher, something's lower, look and make that self-adjustment so you can feel what it feels like in a clean joint system. And then slowly look to the fist that is rolling up as the other fist rolls down. And then reverse it. And if you want to tilt your knees in that direction, by all means. And feel there's a rolling pattern. One side is coming away from the floor, pulling that other arm into you, and then you reverse it. That's it. And feel what's happening. And now keep everything doing the exact same, but just change the direction your head. Your head is now going to look to the fist that is going down, rolling down. You just want to feel comparisons. What's different? There's a little twist that's happening. You can do both. And now take your knees in the direction your head is going, but still keep the arms rotating, one up, one down. So you're looking to the fist that's going down. Now you take the knees also to the fist that's going down. Feel what you feel. It's not wrong, but where do you feel some pull or some traction or some tug? And now take everything in the direction of the fist that's going up. Your head, your knees. Feel the difference. None of it is right or wrong. It's different. And when you can start to feel the difference, well, it's a difference that makes a difference. Good. And now slowly let that all go. Bring your arms, your legs, everything to where you feel, at rest, at ease. Now, some of you know, some of you don't know, that I've always been very athletic. And I was never a professional athlete, but I loved playing with a variety of different sports. The only sports that I never really had any great affinity for, although I played them, were chasing after balls. But I liked running. I liked other things. I liked power. So some of you know that I definitely got into boxing. I never wanted to spar with anybody, ever. I didn't want to get hurt, but I had great respect for endurance. So bring your feet to stand. Make soft fist with your arms, but bring your arms forward towards the ceiling. Good. Now, I don't suspect that many of you are boxers, but I can tell you, if you were going to box, take your right fist towards the ceiling and imagine you're going to rotate the fist you're reaching it towards the ceiling, but you're going to rotate the fist so that the thumb is going to move away from you. Your right shoulder will roll forward. That's it. And then come back. That's it. What happened to your left one? The right one you activate. That's it. Did your left shoulder lean into the floor? Did your right shoulder roll forward? Now reverse it. Roll your left fist, reaching towards the ceiling, but rolling it down or inward. That's it. That's it. And then come back. Good. Now what's happening to the right one? Yes, you feel it. Start to rotate the opposite fist in the opposite direction. Does it lean that shoulder blade back into the floor? That's it. Maybe the elbow wants to bend of the one that's pressing into the floor. That's it. That's how a boxer does a jab. You didn't know you were getting a boxing lesson, did you? But that's it. Good. And feel what you're doing. Did your head roll? Did your one foot depress more than the other to help? That's it. Let it all go and just rest. Notice your contact, your breathing. How are your shoulder blades laying on the floor? Your spine, your pelvis. And slowly bring your feet to stand. Go back to that gentle movement that you initiate through your feet, weight bearing, lightly. One creates that little push up through the spine, everything rocks up. And then the other one reverses it and everything is a gentle pull down through the spine. Yeah. And if you want to do the fists with it, you can, whether they're towards the ceiling or whether they're away. You could alternate them and then you've got some rolling happening with twisting. Good. I'm seeing different ways of playing. That's beautiful. And then let that all go. Take your rest for a moment. So you begin to discern, well, I laid out and I had a certain sensation. Doesn't have to be that it wasn't good, but is it different and nicer, easier? And if it is, great. If it isn't, just go, wow, this is all learning. Maybe someplace I worked a little harder I needed then, or I went into a habit and I worked just a little bit more and something activated. So just calm and quiet, rest, soft. Listen to your breathing. Never wrong. But I'll tell you, when palms are face down or palms are back, shoulders are rolled forward. When palms are up, which is very stereotypical in yoga practices, shoulder blades are pressed back into the floor, which means there's going to be a little bit more arch in your spine. And the neutral, but it is not what you try to impose, is when the palms are more or less towards our thighs, sides. But Leonardo da Vinci, in order to create universal man, Put the hands palms forward. Slowly, without doing anything that you think is correct or incorrect, that you can do either or. They're all part of your repertoire, that the rest of you welcomes and allows it because it listens and it gives a passive response versus resisting and going, no, I won't go there. It's just you allow gently, slowly, roll by way of one side. Transition yourself from sitting to come to stand. Take all the time you want. And when you, in your time, come to stand, you just rest. Rest where a sense of where am I? My feet are my only base of support right now. That's it. And then feel where your pelvis is. Where are your feet? Are they underneath your pelvis? Is your pelvis over your feet? And then my belly free. Don't hold it in. Just let it be. Think of the Beatles. Let it be. Could your chest be forward? Not you push it forward. It's just, I call it regal. It's free to breathe. Your shoulders on top, not pushed forward, not pushed back. Where are your hands? And then from there, just maybe take your arms out to the side, make soft fists, and slowly rotate one arm up, the other one down, and follow it. That's it. And then reverse. And imagine you're dancing the boogaloo. But there are other things we can play with about this. And feel one is rotating down and going lower down, the elbow bends, the other one is rotating up. And you just allow. Have a little walk and notice. A lesson, folding and opening, a lesson rotating, of rotating soft fists.